fired over allegations of racial discrimination and sexual harassment. Investigations, we are told, are just about to be launched. Joining us tonight, Republican strategist, former chair of the Nevada Republican Party, Amy Tarkanian. Great to have you with us, Amy. Emily Compagno,
nice to see you.
A former federal attorney and Fox Business contributor. Great to have you with us. And let's start, Amy, with you. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been been kind of disguised over here on the side and covered up by all that's been occurring. But this is a major development because that is a left-wing activist group that has benefited from nonprofit status. Many of its employees describing it as pure scam. Your thoughts?
That is correct. And even Rolling Stone has been on the record as calling it a scam. And their mission is basically to fight hate and bigotry. But we're finding that this group is nothing but filled with hypocrisy. And this gentleman, there's actually been numerous allegations of sexual misconduct allegations since 2003. And you had mentioned also the financial possibility that's also a scam, that there's millions of dollars that are in offshore accounts. They basically fooled a lot of people.
$500 million in deposits.
It's outstanding.
We're told that investigations are likely to follow on this very quickly. Emily, your thoughts?
Yeah, Amy, and you are both right. Look, this nonprofit posts $500 million in assets, including $121 million in offshore accounts. Here's why viewers need to care. Because not only does this nonprofit evade taxes with its targeted policy, but it also acts as a policeman for large data consumer platforms such as Amazon and Google. And it's a common filer of amicus curiae briefs with the United States Supreme Court. So it affects policy and our courts, literally. So it's up to everyone to know what happens with the SPLC moving forward and that it's held accountable.
And let's turn to, of course, the big news, which is the president vindicated. The radical Dems are just, they're beside themselves, trying to contend with the reality that their conspiracy, their more than 2-year-long effort to overthrow this president and our government. Amy, to think that it almost came to pass. If we had had any other president but Donald Trump, I truly believe this, that person would have folded very quickly under the pressure of the unrelenting attacks on him throughout this entire period of his presidency.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and it's very frightening that we even got this far. It's not surprising, though, when you see most of the mainstream media now trying to backpedal and trying to save their backsides. This is a huge ordeal where I would actually believe that it would require huge apologies from the majority of the mainstream media, as well as those who have been pushing and peddling this story in the House and in the Senate.
And Emily, the companies, the corporations that own these media outlets, the fake news, as the president has branded them, whether it is AT&T, whether it is Comcast, whether it is the New York Times, the list goes on. They have great responsibility here. Should they not step forward and say they will never permit those news organizations again to distort, to lie to the American people?
It would absolutely be a step forward in the public being reassured that there's a measure of accountability taken with that, if that happens. And I want to point out, too, just the vast tendrils that this has encompassed and absorbed for the last 2 years. How much of our tax dollars went to this, and also the time and the coverage that did a disservice to constituents that were hoping for actual policy debates and learning more about what is actually going on in Washington. And instead, we're simply fed that. For example, remember the Cohen hearings? What was going on at the same time as that? Our first ever cybersecurity infrastructure agency, that deputy head was testifying on the Hill that same week. We heard nothing about it. And that's so much more vital than this that was covered this whole time.
There's so many issues far more vital. And the president now, with this burden off his back, the American people can move forward to a very bright future. Amy, thanks for being with us. Emily, thank you so much. We're going to be right back.
Bye.